Good morning. The holiday season, it's not only a time to buy things for the people we love, and maybe ourselves too, but it's also a time when many of you decide to help those in need, donating to worthy charities. But as always, as if we have to remind you, there are terrible people out there trying to get their hands on your hard-earned money. We don't want to let them do that. So every year we have Kim Wyman in, the Secretary of State. Usually the Attorney General is here with you. You couldn't make it today. But you guys talk about this Give Smart campaign. And it's really about making sure that when people of this state want to be generous, which they often are, that their money doesn't go to the wrong place. Is it that big of a problem that you guys need to do this campaign every year?
Absolutely. And, you know, this year, certainly with the hurricanes that came one after another, we saw a lot of scammers come up. We see it nationwide. And so we want people to be aware of scams that are trying to separate them from their money and take money that should go to charities away. So we're really just trying to make sure people are smart consumers and make good choices.
So let's talk about just the most obvious red flags that someone could see that would say, maybe that's not where you give your money to.
Really, somebody trying to pressure you into giving quickly. So they might call you on the phone, or maybe a Facebook post, or a card table out in front of the store, and immediately give us money. And the more pressure they're putting on you should be a bigger flag that there's something else going on. Take your time. If it's a legitimate charity, you have plenty of time to give, and have them give you more information. And always give them a check or a credit card, because that way you can go back, and if there's something wrong, you can maybe make it right.
So don't necessarily hand over a big wad of cash that
Correct.
You've been storing in your shoebox.
Yes.
And by the way, as we're chatting, we do have a phone number and an email, or a phone number and a website where you guys can get some additional information. We'll also be putting some of these tips up. But what are some ways that people can kind of do some investigative work for themselves? What are some tools available for them if they have a charity in mind? They just want to do a little bit of research into it.
Well, every charity that operates in Washington State has to register with my office. So you can go to the Secretary of State's charities page, and you can make sure that they are actually registered as a legal charity in our state. You can also find out information about the charity, like how much of your money actually goes to the charity.
It's a big one.
Yeah. I think a lot of people aren't aware that there's overhead costs, and every business and every charity has them. And you want to kind of be aware of how much of your money is actually going to direct service, and make decisions based on that. There are good reasons why some charities have high overhead costs, but as a consumer, you get to make those choices.
One of the reasons we always have you here with the Attorney General as well is because we want to talk about what recourse people might have. If, let's say, that they've got pressured into donating something and they're really regretting it or starting to question it, is there really a recourse if that happens to people during the holidays?
Absolutely. And Attorney General Ferguson has done a really good job with his staff of being responsive to complaints by consumers. And if you have any questions about a charity, you can call the Attorney General's office, and then they will investigate. And if there are bad actors, they will prosecute.
The last question I want to ask you is, I think there are some people who think, well, if it's a well-known charity, if it's a big charity, it must be okay. And there are some people who maybe wouldn't be as prone to donate to maybe a smaller company or something that they've never heard of before. Is that just sort of a stereotype, or do you find that to be true? Or do you have any advice about that, whether giving to someplace small or giving to someplace big?
Well, again, I think just checking to make sure they're a legitimate charity and are registered with us is the first step. But I'd be cautious as a consumer about commercial fundraisers. And these are people that will probably give you a call or may contact you on social media. And they are actually entities that are trying to make money. So on average, we have about 108 in the state right now, and about 60% of the money goes to charity that they collect, but 40% is going to these commercial fundraisers. And we have some good actors that give a lot of the money. 20% goes to overhead, the rest goes to the charity. We have some where they literally run a negative balance.
Oh, wow.
So we have one that's a negative 57% of the money that was collected on behalf of charities. Charities saw no money of those dollars. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars.
All right, Secretary of State Kim Wyman, we always appreciate your time. It's just about kind of doing that research, making sure, because we all, money is earned, and especially during the holidays, people are stretched thin. They're trying to buy gifts for everyone, but they also want to be generous, and people in the state are so generous.
Yes.
And we don't want to see that money go into the wrong hands. So we absolutely appreciate it. Guys, back to you.